humans are dependent on energy, whether it's to heat our homes, cook our food, or travel to work. But this dependency, fueled by Earth's limited resources, has led to a crisis that threatens the world as we know it. Humanity's only hope is to change the way we think about energy and where we get it from. That's what we'll talk about today. Hello and welcome to Eco India. I'm Sanuta Raghu. Now, garbage is another problem we've created. Every day we produce more than 2 billion tons of solid waste. In Tamil Nadu, villagers are using their trash to generate energy, solving two problems at once. Let's see how.
A little past sundown, walk through this village and you will notice all of these lights come on. These lights are powered by this and this. We are in Kanjirangal village in Tamil Nadu's Sivagangai district. Here they generate electricity from waste using this biogas plant.
Everybody keeps talking nowadays about waste to wealth. So this is a perfect solution in that angle.
Tamil Nadu generates more than 14.5 tons of solid waste every day. Most of it is collected by local municipal bodies, but only half of it is processed. The rest goes straight to landfills.
We are collecting all the waste and channelizing. We are trying to segregate, but in processing sector, we are not 100% processing in many places. So now that attempt we are making.
The plant receives waste from more than 4,000 households in Kanjirangal village. Additionally, the Sivagangai town and 8 nearby villages also contribute waste from their vegetable markets to the plant. On average, the plant receives anywhere between 500 to 1,800 kilograms of biodegradable waste every day. The village president, Mani Muthu, says that this process reduces the burden of waste management on those local bodies.
Let's assume there is a weekly market in one of those villages on a Saturday. We go in the evening and collect the waste with a vehicle. When we do so, the village saves about 15,000 rupees that it would have otherwise spent. That adds up to 60,000 rupees a month.
Once the waste is sent to the biogas plant, it falls within the purview of the plant supervisor Sukha Pradeep Raj. He works alongside 2 sanitary workers and oversees operations in the plant to ensure everything runs smoothly. Although the biodegradable waste is already segregated when it arrives, Pradeep says it is necessary to repeat the process.
It should contain biodegradable waste only. We need to cross-check it to ensure it doesn't contain anything like plastics. The waste we get here is made up of vegetables, chicken parts and bones from restaurants and waste from butcher stores and fish markets. After we segregate it, we chop the waste up and send it on for the next step.
For that next step, it travels through a screw-type conveyor straight to the shredder where it is mixed with water and flows down to the agitator. The agitator is nothing but a collecting tank that continuously stirs the waste before feeding it to the digester. But before we get into what that is, there is an important step which involves cow dung.
We get a lot of citric fruits. To counter the acidity, we add about 100 kg of cow dung during processing. That ensures that the bacteria inside survives and reacts quickly.
Now back to the digester. It is this huge balloon-like structure, and here is where the magic happens. This digester's capacity is 2 metric tons, meaning it can process 2,000 kilos of waste with 2,000 liters of water at any given time. The waste fed to the digester takes just a month to decompose. That process would be 3 times as long if the refuse were left out in the open.
If we dump the waste on the road, the place becomes dirty. Landfilling happens. That problem of landfilling is solved because of this biogas plant.
Once the biogas is produced, unwanted gases and moisture content are scrubbed out and the filtered gas is fed to the generator for electricity generation.
15 kilowatt in the genset capacity.
The generator's capacity is 15 kilowatt. We can generate up to 100 units of electricity with it. The entire unit is powered by what's generated. As a demo, we are powering 25 lights around the plant with this electricity. Secondly, we have a charging station for the e-card that brings the waste to our unit.
Apart from biogas, the digester also generates slurry water as a byproduct. It is an efficient alternative to chemical fertilizer and is distributed free of cost to residents in the region.
The slurry water has to be used in a 1:10 ratio. For every 10 liters of water, 1 liter of slurry is mixed with it because it's highly concentrated with nitrogen. The garden here was created with that slurry water.
Our sanitary workers working there itself, they take away the fruits and vegetables where they're cultivating, and that is how it gives them some supplementary income also for them to sustain their livelihoods.
The plant was financed by the Ministry of Rural Development for 66 lakh rupees, about 75,000 euros. Its daily operations are managed by the village's administration.
This type of unit can be set up in every village. Expenditure and quantity can be reduced and this model can be replicated. It's very good. All over India, this must be done.
Since the biogas unit began operating in August 2021, it has processed some 400 metric tons of biodegradable waste.
So sustainably the waste has to be managed, and it has to be managed at a low cost. The returns are not in terms of financial benefits, but they are in terms of the ecological benefits, the protection of our health, protection of our public health, sanitation. That way only we can assess.
In the future, the village administration plans to utilize all of the electricity generated from the biogas plant to power its office and other administrative buildings. Hyperlocal and decentralized solutions like these contribute not only to the waste management needs of a region, but also to safe, healthy living spaces.
Oceans cover more than 70% of the earth. Ocean tides could potentially be an abundant source of energy. But utilizing that power is not so simple. We took a look at the highs and lows of tidal energy.
Off the coast of Scotland, you could witness this. Wind turbines being put into the water. They're called tidal turbines. They sit on the seafloor and harness the energy in the moving water that comes in and goes out with the tides.
Tidal power just kind of sitting there and waiting to be used.
The potential is huge. It's estimated that we could practically capture enough tidal energy to power all homes in the United States twice over.
And my research with climate change shows we need this energy now.
Yet, at the moment, all the energy we get from existing tidal power plants worldwide can power less than 400,000 homes. So how does tidal power work exactly? And why isn't it everywhere yet? Tides are predictable. They come in, they go out, and they've been doing this the same way since the moon was born. So with the tides, stick a turbine in the water as it flows in or out, and voila, you can make electricity, with the same principle that wind turbines use. Moving water makes the turbine spin. This powers a gearbox and a generator, which turns mechanical energy into electricity. Water, incidentally, is over 800 times denser than air, which means that tidal turbines need to be sturdier, but they can be smaller and slower and still individually produce more power than wind turbines. Wind starts and stops blowing somewhat randomly, and the sun isn't always out. So these renewables can be difficult to integrate into the grid. Tides, as we know, are really predictable and consistent. So if batteries are charged when tides are flowing, we could use those batteries each time there's no movement and repeat at regular intervals. With tides, two main ways to extract power exist. One's called tidal stream and the other tidal range. Let's talk about tidal range power. That takes advantage of the difference between the high and the low tide, which can go up to 12 meters. And this kind of tidal power has been around for decades. The oldest tidal range generator, La Rance, was built in northern France in 1966. It cost around $1 billion in today's money, which is cheaper than a comparable nuclear power plant. There are 4 other tidal range plants running in South Korea, Russia, Canada, and China. Apart from geography, the infrastructure to support tidal range plants just doesn't exist everywhere. And people have opposed the massive structures because they can be horrific for the local environment, disturbing migratory fish, the composition of the soil, and even taking space away from local communities. 98% of tidal energy today comes from tidal range projects that together have a capacity of 520 megawatts, which is still a tiny, tiny fraction of our consumption. But the other kind of tidal power generation could shake things up. The younger and sexier kind of the market, tidal stream power. It's showing more promise at the moment with its simpler devices that depend on underwater currents caused by the tides. They vary in shape and design. And like wind turbines that have been known to cause the lungs of bats flying past to implode, the pressure difference caused by tidal barrages could have a similar effect on the internal organs of fish. But tidal stream projects are already more eco-friendly.
What we see is climate change is by far the worst enemy. So yes, these things will have environmental effects, but we should put them in that context of climate change.
Compared to wind or solar energy, tidal has been slow for a reason you might have guessed.
Sadly, a lot of the solutions are really expensive because the industry is so young. So it's a very small industry. It doesn't have an established supply chain or manufacturing chain. Corrosion is going to be a big problem. So you're going to have to choose your materials really carefully. Biofouling is a really big issue where, you put something in the water, things are going to want to grow on it and it's going to make it into a little mini reef, a little habitat. The performance of the turbine will deteriorate. So you need to find some way of preventing that. That's a huge operational cost.
Which is why most tidal stream generation projects cluster in the global north, where financial support to test the technology at this stage exists. China and South Korea are joining in, but lower-income countries like India have been slow or dropped plans to try out tidal power. But they could benefit when the costs of deployment begin to fall. While its financial cost is still higher than other renewables, its net benefit could actually be higher when you consider things like its predictable supply of clean energy to the grid, or the fact that stream projects don't visually affect a beautiful sea view. So especially in coastal or island nations, tidal does have the power to play a significant role in getting to net zero in a relatively less disruptive way. The need of the hour is to make tidal power competitive.
From the depths of the ocean to Mumbai's high-rise rooftops, where more and more people are considering solar panels to generate cleaner and cheaper electricity. We explored how businesses are helping people use the sun's limitless energy efficiently.
Shail Vani is a financial consultant who now works from home, which means his electricity use has spiked. He tried to set up solar panels on his roof to lower his carbon footprint, but ran into a problem.
Living in a city like Mumbai, right, you really understand that the rooftop is like a communal space. It's a shared space. It's not like the other cities where you have your own house, your own rooftop that you can, use or control. So getting access to the rooftop to set up a solar panel, who owns that electricity? Because that electricity certainly can't be claimed by only me.
This is one big problem several renters and homeowners in crowded cities like Mumbai are facing, and it accounts for a large gap between the country's ambition for rooftop solar generation and the reality on the ground. India's target was to produce around 40 gigawatts of energy from rooftop solar generation by 2023. So far, only 8 gigawatts have been generated. Other factors holding it back are a lack of standardization in solar policies and practical financial support for solar installations. But there are now a few startups in India working to bridge these gaps, like Peri Urja that has raised private investment to install low-cost solar panels for residential communities. So far, they have set up solar panels for 100 residential complexes in Mumbai, Pune and Nashik. Their model involves a long-term leasing contract and financial support. Eventually, the communities will own the panels.
So with us, the tariff is fixed for 15 years. That is one benefit. Second, it is immediately at day zero, it is 50% of your cost. And three, it is free when you set it up. At the end of 15 years, the plant is transferred to the consumer free of cost.
However, the uptake from urban consumers continues to be slow and tentative. But Peri Urja co-founder Shetye believes that when a few people feel incentivized to buy in, more will follow.
I feel that, the trust definitely needs to be solved for. The starting step for solving the trust is definitely, more installation, social proof, which that creates.
They are working with a Bangalore-based technology startup called Sunday Grids, also attempting to make solar energy more accessible and affordable by going digital.
Is it possible for us to basically decouple both the problems of wanting to go solar on one side and having a physical installation? Does it necessarily have to happen on your own rooftops, right? Can it be just like, back in the day we used to carry around our thumb drives with storage, and now everything is on the cloud? In a similar fashion, can we put solar on the cloud?
It sounds novel, but it's similar to a credit trade scheme. How it works is, Sunday Grids rents grids like those belonging to the residential solar project from Peri Urja. The units of energy produced here are marked as solar credits and can then be traded on their platform. Customers can invest in the panels monthly and reserve units of solar credit.
Because of economics of scale, we kicked in because we are building larger systems, and then you can come and reserve smaller portions on it. Say, hey, let me reserve 2 kilowatts of solar. We actually segregate and basically allocate 2 kilowatts of this 50 kilowatt project for your requirements. So whatever power gets generated from this, right, we trade the power to a local partner of ours. In this case, it is this building. We trade this power at a predefined price point. So that is around 5.5 rupees per unit. That power, essentially whatever gets traded, that credits then come to a wallet. So every time you come and create an account with us on our platform, we also create a wallet, like a digital wallet for that particular account. And onto that wallet, we essentially add those credits from the system.
Since its launch in November 2021, Sunday Grids has purchased 64 kilowatts of solar capacity through multiple residential rooftop installations across Mumbai and Bangalore. And people from around the country can and have bought into these installations. As it's in the development phase, the solar power market relies on subsidies from the state. The startup companies also have private investors who are financing them and funding their operational costs. Sunday Grids have onboarded with most public and private electricity suppliers and built a symbiotic collaboration with solar producers like Peri Urja, who provide the infrastructure they need.
A group of believers that you're creating with digital solar, and I felt that this was one really great gap that he was filling in the entire ecosystem.
The link between public and private electricity providers is a really important step that helps customers offset the credits against their electricity bills and minimize their own carbon footprint. And this platform was exactly what Shailwani was looking for.
With Sunday Grids, I've started at about 50% of my bill. Basically, the credits keep getting accrued to your account as they are generated. And whenever you have to pay your bill, you can just go onto their portal or their dashboard and use your credits to pay your bill. And if anything's left, right, you can use your traditional sources to pay the rest of the bill, right? And what that also allows me to do is the ability to decide how much of my bill to offset gives me a good starting point, right, as an entryway into this ecosystem.
While this still remains accessible only to a small section of India's city dwellers and is still in its early stages, going into digital solar energy is one potential step forward to a cleaner future.
Solar panels like those from the last report, wind power, tidal energy. These renewable sources are key to generating clean, abundant power. The infrastructure needed to harness that power requires other resources. And there's the question of what we do with the materials when we can no longer use them. We travel to Poland, where a company has found a creative solution.
These wind turbines are more than 20 years old. Compared to modern ones, they're small and inefficient, so they're being torn down. So what happens to these green energy giants at the end of their lifespan? The blades, especially, are made of composites and plastics. Instead of recycling them, a lot ends up in landfills or incinerated in the kilns of cement and steel factories.
For some years now, facilities that incinerate them aren't really happy about it, and that's down to the physics of the combustion process. The glass fiber is bonded with resins, which gum up the kiln and the ash. So quite apart from the environmental lunacy, it's just not an ideal solution.
And recycling is only just getting off the ground. It's only recently that wind turbine manufacturers have had the wind-to-waste problem on their radar. That often leads to situations like this. On this green field, decommissioned turbine blades are dismantled for the scrapyard. One company near the Polish city of Wrocław has come up with a solution. Unmet takes old turbine blades from Germany and turns them into furniture. The blades, up to 12 meters long, are first sawed into sections. Sanded and painted, they get a new life as outdoor furniture, chairs, benches, and tables, accented with top-quality larch wood. Students from the University of Zielona Góra come up with the designs. They're thrilled that their products are being bought by customers around the world.
Of course, you can use it inside, but I think outside is better way to use this material because it's waterproof, it's damage-proof.
A footbridge, another of Anmet's novel recycling ideas. The rotor blades were transformed into the support for a pedestrian bridge. It's the brainchild of engineer Andrzej Adamczuk. For him, old blades are not hazardous waste, but a resource.
For example, we don't try to change the shape of the rotor, we turn it into a sculpture with a dozen blades. It's going to be monumental, really big, so that it will really wow people.
Andrzej Schnabel runs an online shop, Wings for Living. That's the exclusive retailer. There's even an app to let you see what the furniture would look like in your garden. Schnabel and his counterparts in Poland are good friends. A garden bench like this can easily cost 1,500 euros.
We're aiming to be a small and stylish brand that helps raise awareness of the problem and also shows that old discarded objects can be turned into beautiful and unique furnishings.
His friends in Poland are constantly coming up with innovative designs, like a rotor wing transformed into a wine cellar. When it comes to upcycling, the sky's the limit. And there's no shortage of turbine blades that need repurposing. The new generation of wind turbines are bigger and more powerful. Modern turbines are temples of high tech, filled to the brim with electronic components. And they promise to help solve the wind-to-waste problem. In 30 or 40 years, when these turbines go offline, they'll be more easily recycled into valuable raw materials.
All big manufacturers are working on producing their components so that they'll be easier to recycle, meaning in a way that's environmentally sustainable, energy-saving, and cost-saving.
100% recyclable turbine blades are the wave of the future. Germany, for example, plans to install 1,500 new wind turbines a year. In a few decades, their aging blades will be mined for valuable raw materials.
Recycling components surely seems to be the way forward. And while we're talking about the way forward, our team in India and Germany is working hard on bringing you Eco India 2.0 in the next few weeks. Sadly, it's time for me to say goodbye. Thank you for all your appreciation and support over these last 4.5 years. Our crew and I have enjoyed every minute of bringing you this show week after week. Keep tuning in to find context and solutions to some of the biggest challenges our generation faces today. Goodbye.